Hello, everybody, and welcome in. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Light here with you. We have got some severe weather that we are dealing with. A severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for Logan, Mason, Menard, and Sangamon County. We're watching a very strong storm here that is moving into the area. It's got maybe a little bit of hail in there. They're saying 3/4 inch size hail, but definitely some strong winds upwards of 60 miles per hour. This is the view from Springfield that we have as well. Great view of that storm as it's coming into the area. And we're going to be watching it. It is about to really rock and roll there into portions of northern Sangamon County. And this is going to be the area of biggest concern that we've got. So if you're watching us there in Sangamon County right now, you're probably seeing these same dark clouds beginning to move in here from the north. Let's go ahead and take a look at that view. There it is, full screen, as you can see. That is the look from Springfield on our Flooring America Weather iNet camera. And this thing is, starting to strengthen a little bit. We're seeing some pockets of some really strong winds in there. And that's going to be technically in Menard County where I'm kind of seeing that, those winds. And so here's what I'm going to show you on our Storm Tracker Doppler are the winds within the storm to show you what we've got, okay? So you can see, this is clipping northern Sangamon County. So you're talking Sherman. Springfield, you're technically not in that warning, but Sherman, and then towards Lincoln and Mount Pulaski. Here's what I want to show you with the winds in here, because it is very clear to us where we've got some of those strong winds. When I pull this up, you see that right there? Right there, that bright spot, okay? That right there are those are some very, very strong winds. As a matter of fact, when we kind of zoom in, I'm going to zoom in even more to that area. Oh, hit the wrong button there. We're going to zoom back into that area and show you our storm, which has at least 60 mile per hour winds that are being Doppler radar indicated on this. Let me come back down to it again. And our storm that's going to come right into Logan County there. So, and that's where some of those winds are about to come in. So Broadwell to Elkhart, you're going to want to be on the lookout. So when we look at this again, when we pull that up, and what we do is we query the wind speed, and it's going to tell us 64 mile per hour winds showing up there. And that's actually fairly close to the radar site. So you're not looking at, too high up in altitude as far as where the radar beam is actually hitting. So you're actually looking at a pretty good representation there, probably 60 mile an hour winds with that storm. So if you're in Elkhart to Broadwell, and that's going to cross over I-55 here in the next few minutes, you definitely want to be on the lookout for our storm there, because it's definitely got some fairly strong winds on it. And you can see as I kind of move this over, so there's Broadwell, there's I-55, there's Elkhart, and this thing's going to be coming right in there to the Corwin, Croft, Fancy Prairie area, but the core of those very strong winds right there and moving off here to the east. And so that is the biggest storm of concern, but we're also watching other storms here, as you can see, and I'll put a little bit of a loop on this to show you the movement that our storms are going. And they're kind of going due east here. So they're kind of hugging right here along I-72. And we're going to watch for further development of these storms. But this is definitely the storm of concern right now. Very strong winds along this line here, and some embedded little areas where winds are picking up to that 60 mile per hour range. And so between Lincoln and Mount Pulaski, kind of down the line, you're going to want to be on the lookout for these storms as they move in. Jack, how about some hail in some of those storms?
Yeah. Do you want me to put it on max 1?
Yeah, you can just you can switch over to 1.
What I'm going to do here is I'll take control. Meteorologist Jacob Dickey on his Facebook has some viewer video of some hail that's in Athens. So if you want to punch up it on your on the stream computer, and I can use that over there when you get the time.
Is that on Twitter?
On Facebook. And in fact, so right now we are looking at my computer with the hail size right now, and the biggest hail core right by the Athens area there. So right where the bend of Highway 29 is, that is where we are seeing some, still some relatively small hail, all things considered, but it's by far the largest hail core out of our storms. Everything else is more of the wind factor there. Like Kevin was saying, we've got those bright winds, bright colors showing up on our velocity, and it's like he said, very close to the radar, which means we've got an excellent view of some very low-level portions of the storm, so the ones that would be most likely impacting us on the ground. So we've got he said that those were coming in at around 60 miles an hour. So that would be that we're above our 60 that we need for the severe thunderstorm warning. Today we have a slight risk for severe weather. It was always going to be more of a wind threat today anyways. The Storm Prediction Center was picking up on kind of an outflow boundary that's been left over, and there's also a weak cold front coming down too, and it's interacting with the warm, humid air that we have. And so as a result of all those conditions, we have these storms that have developed. Now, earlier on today, we did have that tornado warning across Coles County. Down there, that cell was more of a individual cell. There was obviously some storms that were close by, but it was acting a lot more like its own. This one, though, has more of a little Boeing segment already starting to get going with that one. That's why we're going to have the hail threat out of that one. But we've got, again, like we've been talking about, mainly with this storm, the winds here for it. We've got the bright winds showing up there on our velocity, and those winds are heading towards the radar. That's why they're green. And when you get the bright colors like that, that means that they're moving quite fast. We have no severe thunderstorm warnings, or watch, I should say. We have no tornado watch or anything like that. We just have this warning out there that has the strong winds, but also, too, the hail size. A little bit of some hail that we've been seeing and picking up on near the Athens area. And you got it figured out?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, I'm going to switch you over.
Yeah, so this is that video that Jack was talking about in the Athens area. You can see some of the hail bouncing off of that patio table there. You might have some dimes in there. Looks like maybe you could have even some bigger ones in there, but
it's a little bit bigger. Yeah, the dimes, I would say.
Dime to nickel, kind of in that dime to penny maybe. So you got some of that hail that's in the Athens area as that just rolled through. Again, you kind of see the little white things that are kind of bouncing off of the table. And so that's with our storm that is currently moving through there. And that's now going to be east of there, but definitely a storm that has prompted the warning, not just for hail, but also for the very gusty winds that we've got showing up with this as well.
This one's still a relatively slow mover too. We've got it at 60 mile-an-hour wind gust for the warning, but it's moving to the east itself at about 35 miles an hour.
Can you give me back? Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
There we go.
So we got movement to the east at around 35 miles an hour. So it is going to be a still relatively slow mover, but it is faster than the tornado warning that we had earlier on today. Still, though, a lot of heavy rain is going to be seen out of this storm, and we've got a lot of prolific lightning with it too. So it's definitely one to take note of, but it is moving just to the north of Springfield. In fact, our Springfield camera probably looks a little bit.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's right there.
So you kind of see the camera kind of bouncing around there a little bit. So some very strong winds associated with our storm that we're looking at. And it's just now kind of coming into Logan County now. I'm going to switch over to our other product here that shows the radar. And what we're looking at, essentially, we've got the radar, reflectivity on the left and the velocity on the right. These brighter green little pixels here from Middletown and then right along the county line. So you're looking Broadwell. So here again is the Weather Service. The Weather Service is right there. That's where the Doppler radar is. So that's going to be coming in. So very strong winds between New Holland to Middletown and just north of Williamsville. And so Broadwell and Elkhart, you guys are going to see some of those strong winds beginning to roll in there. So that's the warning that is in effect. Here's kind of the wide view of all of the storms that we've got. And we'll put a little bit of a loop on it. And you can see the progression of these generally off here to the east. There's where the warning got issued. And so now the question is okay, what about DeWitt County and maybe northern portions of Macon County? Down the line, Champaign County, because here's the thing about Champaign. This first cell that came through came through just south of town, more towards Savoy, Tolono. So kind of the Champaign-Urbana area hasn't seen a ton here. Neither has kind of other portions of the county. So we'll be watching that. And there is that potential. There's a lot of instability out there for these storms to tap into. So down the line, you want to be paying attention in Clinton, Forsyth, towards Whiteheath, Monticello, Mansfield, because that line that we're looking at is generally moving off here to the east and is going to move into a pretty good atmosphere here. So Maroa and the Farmer City area, all of that is what we're going to be keeping a close eye on. So Jack, you got a cool view there of the...
That's Springfield.
Let me pull that up. So, yeah, there you go. Look at that on the
Yeah.
left side of that. Wow, that's a really...
So
great view.
that antenna that we always have that cuts right off through our picture is
Yeah.
just on the left side. So that's as far left as we can go. But you can clearly see the lowering there with that shelf as it approaches. It contrasts out because of the brightness, but
Wow.
you can see the cloud really clearly when I turn it around. It's a cool looking shot.
Yeah, that is a really interesting shot there because we're far enough away from the storm. You actually see the structure of the storm,
Correct.
which makes it very picturesque, so to speak. Probably a little scary.
Yep. So
For
this is
those.
looking off to the north of it. This is
Yeah.
looking off to the north, and so you're looking at that storm as it passes just to the north of Springfield. You'll get some rain in Springfield for sure, but the bad stuff is going to be just to the north of Springfield.
So a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here until 4:45 p.m. for Logan, Mason, Menard, and Sangamon County. It's really, I see the worst of it now heading out of Menard and Mason County and heading into Logan County at this moment. So we definitely have some strong winds with this as they move off here to the east. And we're just going to kind of watch this because this thing may ride right along kind of Highway 10 and just north of I-72. So that Highway 10 corridor from Lincoln to Clinton, the DeLand area, all of that going to be dealing with these very strong storms, the potential for damaging winds and even some hail in there. Cannot rule out an isolated tornado. We had a tornado warning earlier with the storms, but there's not that immediate threat, but we're definitely seeing a really nice view of that storm as it kind of moves in. So we'll come back to that in a second. We'll switch back over to the radar view here and show you our storm going to be coming into Lincoln. It's about to get noisy there. Broadwell to Elkhart, as we've been talking about, and then Mount Pulaski before too long. All of our storms are going to have that wind damage threat associated with them. Again, we were showing you the lightning, a lot of lightning with this as well. These are the lightning strikes, and just kind of how many are showing up, and you can just kind of see them updating live on your screen. And you can see a lot of times you can determine maybe where some of the strongest parts of the storm are based upon the electricity in them and so the lightning that we've got. And so we definitely have quite a bit of that. Just going to be north of Williamsville. So you can see here, that's Springfield. And I tell you, there's a little bit of an uptick there on the northwest side of town in the airport there. You can see with that cell there of Springfield. So that's an interesting view that we've got now of the storm that we'll watch. But that storm coming in there to the northwest side of town and right over the airport, as a matter of fact. So let me kick back over to our camera.
It still looks impressive. You can see the rain shaft where the horizon line disappears. These things have a lot of rain with it too. It's very humid outside. There's a lot of moisture to work with, and so these storms are just using that moisture to get strong and then just dumping it back down on us.
Yeah, you can see it. You can just watch it move across the screen there.
And it's about 35 miles an hour that it's moving at. So it's not super fast. So it is going to leave behind a lot of rain in its wake.
So those winds there, you can see off in the distance the, like I said, the rain shaft there on the left side of your screen. That's going to be where the rain and hail is. And as that storm kind of moves across, those clouds getting darker into the Springfield area, and definitely a very strong storm moving through up in that area. The warning itself, though, where we've got some of the strongest winds, are actually in Logan County. Unfortunately, we just don't have a camera that's up there in Logan County. So there's our pole, and so that's what I mean. You can't really see.
Yep, can't really go anymore.
Can't really go anymore. So we've got that. We got the antenna there, but we've got this nice view, and if you just kind of move this over. Okay, you can kind of see, so okay, you got the sun, the clouds are higher, you got these lower clouds there, and that's the area we've got the heavy rainfall and that hail as that storm continues to move in. So yeah, we had somebody in the chat saying wind is really picking up in the Broadwell area right now. So we've got a viewer watching us in the Broadwell area, and so what I'll do is we'll click back over to the radar and show you the storm there. That, as we just mentioned, that's where the strongest where the strongest winds are located. And look at it, almost kind of seemingly trying to kind of almost a little bit of a bow trying to take place in there, and which would indicate very strong winds within our storm. So there's Broadwell, and yeah, there it is. I mean, you're right on the apex of that too.
Yeah, right on the apex of that, which would be where you have your strongest gusts at. We don't really have much in the way of distortion from the radar just yet, do we?
No, not yet. I think
yet.
we're good in a few more miles.
Yeah.
But like you said, because what happens is here in a moment, that radar, the dome you see right there, you lose some data because of it going over the cone of silence.
Cone of silence.
So that's kind of coming in here on the west side of town. But we've got a pretty good view right now. I can tell you this, you've got strong winds from Broadwell to Elkhart. And so Mount Pulaski, you want to be kind of paying attention, Lake Fork there, and kind of down the line along Highway 10. All of that has that very strong wind potential there. Getting a ton of questions of, what about Westville? What about Danville? What about Rantoul? What about Monticello? What about Hoopeston? Yes. We cover 350 cities, towns, and villages, and I understand everybody wants to know about their specific one. So the general rule of thumb is if we're not talking about your area right now, there isn't really a concern for you. We usually talk about the locations that are under the gun, the ones that are most in the biggest threat, and so that right now happens to be Logan County. It's Broadwell. It's Elkhart right now. It's Lincoln. It's Chesterville, it's Mount Pulaski. Those areas should be paying close attention to the storm as it moves in. And then we're also watching our other storm here into northwest Springfield, right over the airport, pretty good storm there. And then other cells that are developing here off to the east. There's nothing severe with any of this yet. So the stuff's down south of Sullivan, the stuff that is down near Kansas and Edgar County and Clark County, none of that's severe, nothing severe in Vermilion County, nothing severe in Champaign County right now. So again, when we start talking about your cities, towns, villages here, obviously you're going to be under the biggest threat. We can't name every single one of those and give a specific breakdown this far out. We generally talk about who's under the gun over the next 20 to 30 minutes or so, and those are the cities that we'll be mentioning. So
yeah, because they're the ones that need to know.
Yeah, they're the ones that need to know. But here's the thing: I promise you, if there's something coming to your town,
we'll say it.
We'll say your town, and we will say it over and over, and you'll know. So that's the beauty of why we come on here and do our streaming and let everybody know kind of what's going on. So right now, the storms that we're watching coming into Lincoln and the Logan County area right now, a strong thunderstorm there. Mount Pulaski, you're going to want to be on the lookout with these strong winds. We'll see if there are any reports. The thing is if this storm rolls over, the National Weather Service office, they've got what's known as an ASOS out there, basically a little weather station, that will tell us what the winds were when the storm passed over. So a lot of times it gives an indication of just how strong this storm is. So what we can do is we can plot this out and put a little bit of a storm path on it and show you guys exactly who is going to be under the gun. So let's do this. We'll draw along here. We'll come off to the east, and the movement, what was the movement on that, like 25,
35.
35, okay.
Yep.
So there's just kind of look at some of the cities there. So down the line, if you really want to plan ahead in the next half hour, you've got Kinney at 433, Warrensburg at 438 and 433. Maroa 442, Clinton down the line 446. So 45 minutes before that is in your neck of the woods. And so those areas, see the towns right there? If you are near any of those, you're going to have that potential for 60 miles an hour. And so that's the general direction of where they're going. Okay? So that is a little bit of a storm path, as we like to call it, the storm path on that. And as we widen the view out a little bit, now we'll put the loop on it, and you can kind of see how it is generally moving off there to the east and northeast. Now, what we've got to watch for are, hey, are there other little storms that start popping up here and there? I mean, that's all possible, but it's going to take a while for those to kind of organize, if they are going to organize to anything more. So right here is our area of highest concern, coming right over the Lincoln Weather Service office here as we speak into Logan County. But yeah, be on the lookout down the line in DeWitt County and portions of Macon County here as well as this storm moves off here to the east. So there's Champaign. Yeah, they got a couple little guys here. Nothing severe. Nothing severe down here into Moultrie County. Nothing severe here into Douglas County right now. So that is, again, the main focus of our severe weather coverage that we've got right now. I'll click back over to our weather camera, and that's going to be looking at the storm again, north of Springfield. Just kind of a neat view there. But the other view that I will get ready to fire up is going to be our Decatur camera view.
Yeah, Decatur will be next on board.
Yep, that'll be the next camera we've got there. Right there as that storm kind of hugs along that I-72 and I-10 corridor. I know we've got Jacob that's out and about in the storm tracker, and we'll see where he lands here. We might be checking in with him during the newscast or earlier if he finds something out there for us. But like I said, all of these storms are going to continue to move off to the east and move into an atmosphere that, yes, could allow for, severe weather to occur tonight. So you just got to kind of stay weather aware as these storms move in. Of course, we're here for you to let you know just what these storms may have within them as they move into the area.
They've got the high reflectivity. You've got in southern Logan County, you've got the pink starting to show up there, at least on the other view, the loop view. Just a lot of heavy rain with these. There's a lot of moisture in these storms. That's probably also where a little bit of a hail core is occurring as well, and so it's an impressive one.
Yeah, big storm there with a lot of lightning. So 121 there, Chesterville to Mount Pulaski. That storm is heading in your direction next and literally knocking on your doorstep. So you need to be taking precautions there. I'm not seeing any rotation within this here. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like the whole thing might be rotating, but that's usually more of like what we call a meso low. So it's actually like a little low pressure area, and it can help to self-sustain itself as it moves off to the east. And so that might be what we would see, which would be a much broader area of rotation, which would, in this case, not be tight enough to make a tornado. This would be more of your strong wind event with this type of signature.
There's little pockets there, as you can see right there. There's again that area of bright, those brighter colors right there. So you can see right here, it says 65 miles an hour. So that's going to be right here. So that's going to be north of 10. So that's Lincoln. There's the Weather Service office right there. And then New Holland right here. So along Highway 10. So just north of that, there is a pocket of some very strong winds, and would not be surprised if you've got some wind damage that could occur in that area right there.
Looks like they just kind of trimmed the warning itself a little bit.
Okay.
Made it a little bit smaller. It's now pretty much the northern portion of Sangamon County and then almost all of Logan County.
Okay, so you've just got that little sliver of Sangamon County from Sherman over to Williamsville, and then you got Lake Fork now, and Logan County, and Mount Pulaski, Chesterville, and Lincoln. Again, we'll be curious to see a wind report as this rolls over the Lincoln area. You can see that thunderstorm that is pushing off there to the east is definitely going to bring strong winds with it more than anything. Heavy rainfall, which can lead to flooding in those areas, because it doesn't take much with as much rain as we have seen here to get some of that flash flooding to occur. But I think Lake Fork, just north of Lake Fork there, that's where we're seeing some of those hail cores, and that's going to be, I'm going to zoom into that, because Mount Pulaski, I'd be on the lookout for maybe some hail, because look at this right here. So you got a little hail core that's there.
Hail core.
So Lake Fork, so we were looking for these purple colors, the bright reds and the purples in there, so maybe a little bit of hail starting to show up. So 54 that kind of comes and swings around on the south side there, Mount Pulaski, down to Lake Fork. That area here, I'd be on the lookout as a very strong storm moves in with some of that hail within the storm. and you may have some nickel to maybe quarter-size hail that may show up within that. The radar is saying that that's definitely possible, but this thing, as it rolls right over the top of the Lincoln Weather Service office there, they ought to get a good little wind measurement within the next 5 minutes or so, I would suspect.
I'm not sure if you saw this, but Elkhart Fire in the chat reported pea-sized hail and estimated 50-mile-per-hour gusts.
Okay, so
that was in Elkhart, so that would have been
Yep.
just a little bit ago.
So as that storm kind of came through there, so that's kind of what you can expect. So probably a little bit of hail, 50, could be as high as 60-mile-an-hour winds in some areas, some pockets of that. It's not the whole area. This whole storm doesn't have 60-mile-an-hour winds. Instead, those pockets, as I talked about. Okay, it's where you've got some of these brighter colors. So see, there's kind of one right here, and then there's definitely one up here south of the Hartsburg area. And that one definitely has got some strong winds. But then you've got another little area of brighter reflectivity, velocity signature coming back to us. And so again, as this comes over where the Weather Service office is located, we'll get a little bit of a wind measurement. Maybe those stronger winds go just to the north of the office, we'll see. But there's 55 coming north into Lincoln. And that's a look at our storm there. That currently still looking pretty good. So here's the thing, we may be talking about these storms during the 5 o'clock newscast, and by that time, those storms are probably going to be, crossing Highway 51 at that time if they stay on that movement, because, again, if we're talking storms moving at 35 miles an hour, at 20 miles per hour, storms at 51 here, but they're going a little bit faster than that, so that means in an hour's time, they're actually going to be at 35 miles an hour, maybe even coming into, in an hour, western portions of Piatt County. So we'll be watching that.
The mayor is out chasing. Mayor Dickey is out chasing. And so Jacob on his Twitter has a video of his dad, who is just southeast of Lincoln. The video is from 5 minutes ago.
Okay. Is that on Twitter?
On Twitter, yep, that one's on Twitter.
Okay, so thanks for everybody tuning in here on our live stream. And that storm there again, I mean, it's packed a punch even on the south end there, Mount Pulaski, Lake Fork, a little bit more of a hail signature is starting to show up with that storm there as well. So here is...
Want me to just hit it over here?
I got it. Yep,
Okay,
I'm
all
good.
right.
Yep. So there's a look at that storm there. So that was just west of Lincoln, you said?
Southeast of Lincoln.
Or southeast of Lincoln?
Yep.
So again, there's a look at kind of that shelf cloud moving. You're not seeing really much rotation, but definitely you've got those low hanging clouds there. And so that storm, as it rolls in, we'll get those winds to kick up along that.
Good looking shelf cloud.
Yeah,
out of that.
real good looking shelf cloud. So typically you then look for other little features there, not seeing rotation or anything of that nature. So that's some good news. But here's the nice thing. We've got eyes out there on the storm. They're out there, so they're going to follow along this whole thing. So wherever this thing is, where it's going to be the strongest, we'll have eyes on it. So that's the beauty of this storm here, kind of being the one and only storm, at least as of right now, and it may remain that way because nothing else, none of this other stuff is severe.
Yeah, there's little storms here and there, but they just don't have the energy to get going to be anything too impressive as of right now.
Yeah, so nothing there. We're just kind of watching the storm. Here's the storms that's down here into southern portions of Sangamon County. Springfield, you guys have been dealing with a few of these storms. We'll have to kind of start watching these guys that are on what we call the tail end Charlies. They're the ones that are kind of on the south end of the line here. Sometimes these can do a little something. So we'll be monitoring that area.
Yeah, and those.
Okay, they do have a rotating wall cloud that just got reported.
Interesting.
With this storm here.
Oh, the one just west of Chatham?
Yeah.
Wow.
Southwest approximately of Chatham. And here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised. Are you able to move the camera
yeah.
around at all? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what kind of view we can get. It's pretty far south. but
For Springfield.
there is a little bit of a hook there that's definitely showing up.
On the
That-
velocity, it's you got a couple pixels to where it could be something.
Yeah, there might be something there. I think there is a little rotation in there. I think the Weather Service is going to be monitoring that pretty close here. And so that's going to be right there along Highway 4 between Chatham and Irwins Park. That storm there definitely ramping up a little bit. And as I mentioned, we call those the tail end Charlies. The southern part of the line there sometimes can have a little bit better of an atmosphere. Nothing is kind of
Nothing's in its
stealing
way
it,
at that
yeah.
point.
Nothing's stealing the energy and the moisture there. So
Springfield's got a good downpour. There's we can't see really anything now on the camera.
pull
So
that
we've
up here real
got
oh, that's the Decatur cam. Sorry. Let me click
yeah,
up.
channel
So
1.
that's, yep.
Yeah.
So Springfield, here it comes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No view. No view.
Just turning it around, moving around. It's like, there's a lot of rain.
Yeah, a lot of rain there. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull back up our other radar feature. So this is what we're looking at with this, and some interesting signatures right there. I mean, that I would not be surprised if, yeah, you've definitely got some rotation
Yep.
showing up there southwest of Chatham. And so that's just crossing over Highway 4 right now. And we'll see if the Weather Service does anything with this.
And if you look at the loop, I mean, that thing just exploded.
Yeah.
That cell just exploded. And so it had nothing in the way of it becoming stronger. And there we go. Yeah, right by that Irwins Park area, Chatham area. Glenarm on I-55, just a little bit east of there. So that'll be one that you got to watch because, and even the velocity looks good on it. It looks obviously very cool right now up in Logan County.
Yeah. There's
The
that hail core in Mount Pulaski there.
yeah, there that is. The velocity on Logan County is very cool because the inbound and outbound winds are just directly over the radar like that, and so it's got that really cool look to it. But yeah, Mount Pulaski definitely seeing that hail core currently, just especially on the southwest side of town.
Yeah, that Chatham storm, definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Little itty bitty. This is one of those where you'll get those little funnels.
You can go, yep.
Little spin ups there. And so that thing is, and I think on the next radar scan, the thing's going to come right there along on Highway 4. And yeah,
And again, that storm just blew up, and so that's an area where there's not been many storms already that have formed, and so that one might be our next spot to watch.
So there was a report from a chaser that's out there of a rotating wall cloud with that, and I definitely believe that. So this storm here is moving off here to the east. So just to kind of show you how this thing blew up in the past 45 minutes. Wasn't much there. And then
It wasn't really anything.
even just the past 15 minutes with that. But you got this little guy right here, okay? And so you can see there's the updated radar scan on it. So now east of Highway 4, where you might have some of that. So Chatham down to Irwins Park in that area, we're watching that. This is not warned yet, but it's just something on radar that we kind of look at. So they just issued, what do they got here?
Significant weather advisory.
Okay, so that's still, so they didn't carry on the warning.
Correct.
So a significant weather advisory, basically to carry this storm off here to the east.
So it must have. I mean, it's just below severe criteria.
Yeah, so you're talking 50, maybe 55 mile per hour winds.
Yeah. Yeah.
On that. Now this storm here, I tell you, it's just interesting to watch this kind of notch and then this higher reflectivity, that's trying to kick up there.
Because the velocity is there. It does show It does show some rotation there.
There's just a couple of pixels
Yep,
in there.
there's a couple of pixels, and it's definitely a bit more. Even though it is a couple pixels, it is a little bit more textbook than what have occurred recently. Whereas some of these tornadoes that we've seen in these funnel clouds that have popped up, they've in the past few days. I mean, they are hard to spot on our velocity. You really got to be looking at some very small scale features to see it, and but it's the atmosphere is set up in a way today where the funnel clouds were always going to be possible. We actually put out a little graphic earlier on today on social media from the National Weather Service that said that there was the possibility of it. So it makes sense. It's just going to be what storms are able to capitalize on that little rotation that's out there, because it doesn't take much to get something going, especially with how warm and humid it is.
Quarter-size hail in Mount Pulaski right
Yep.
now. We'll go back up here. Just got a report of quarter size. So those quarters coming down in Mount Pulaski. Jacob actually reporting that.
He got there pretty quick.
He tends to do that.
Yep, he got there pretty quick. Well, tracker's all gassed up anyway,
Ready
so
to rock,
that helps out a lot.
So we'll probably see some video from him soon or some pictures probably of some hail. He's in Mount Pulaski and has some quarters.
Let's see what the Decatur cam looks like now, because that's going to be our money shot now.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Sirens going off in Charleston. Well, that's probably not a good thing, because you don't have any
There is
severe weather there. Somebody said that in the chat. Unclear.
there is currently nothing. There's a storm about 15 miles away, 10 miles away from Charleston. There's no reason for those to be going off.
So that storm along I-55, east of, south of Springfield, I mean, or I should say west of I-55, the people that are driving along the interstate, if you look off to your west, that would be a great view into the storm. And if there is some rotation or a wall cloud there, we'd be able to see it. Might try to pull up, like I said, that Decatur camera here in a moment and see what our view may be of that storm as it kind of comes in there from the west. I'll have to look out. So we'll probably pick out the shelf cloud. I think I'm seeing something in there. So this will probably get a little bit more impressive here in the next few minutes, but let me pull up the Decatur camera for you. So this is looking to the northwest of town as that line comes in from Logan County into DeWitt and northwestern portions of Macon County, where again they've not carried the severe thunderstorm warning, instead opting for the significant weather advisory getting issued. But this is that leading edge here of that shelf cloud that's going to be coming into Decatur, or at least the Macon County area. Maroa, Forsyth, Latham, Warrensburg, be watching there. Hey, Kenny, Midland City, Clinton, Pella, Waynesville, I'd be on the lookout as that storm comes in there as well. All right, so we'll keep checking back on our Decatur camera.
I will say this is the worst time of the day to be doing severe weather coverage, because we have to still
Working on the forecast.
do
and-
our day-to-day stuff still
Yeah.
too. So it's
Yeah.
nice that we got two of us in here
yeah,
right now.
Jack,
So
you just keep doing your thing
that's why
over
I'm kinda
there.
quiet.
Yeah, so Jack's over there doing some of the hard work over there while we just kind of watch these storms. I will say this, some fairly strong winds there coming into the Atlanta area, according to radar. And then you've got those strong winds as well down from Mount Pulaski. So we're watching all of that activity right now. So we're just going to watch this storm here that's coming into the Glenarm area now. And going to cross over I-55 So as you head down I-55 there, so that's going to generally be, let's see, we're talking, Glenarm as you work your way east, Highway 104, north of 104 there, in the Glenarm area. You got the Sugar Creek covered bridge. That would be a heck of a view right now in that area.
The Indiana boy in you does love those covered bridges.
I do like
Yep.
my covered bridges there. And so that storm there on the south side, south of Springfield, and so more towards Chatham there and southeast there, that is an area to watch as you come out of Chatham Road. And so you're talking Pulliam Road there, and as I mentioned, that Sugar Creek covered bridge that's located right about here. Well, it's hard to see with the radar. But that would be, yeah, Covered Bridge Road. You can see it right there. That would be a heck of a place to be in a view to have to be looking into that storm right now. Currently, that storm is not warned. The Weather Service is watching it. But, you know, this is the area that we're watching because of where you've got a little bit of inflow into the storm. And we'll see if this thing can start to spin up at all. The only severe thunderstorm warning still in effect is going to be up here into Logan County and pushing out of Logan County now. And so now you're going to want to watch there in Clinton and Waynesville, Wapella, the Tunbridge area, and right there along Highway 54 coming into Clinton. Kind of down the line, there's Maroa, Warrensburg, with that as it moves off there to the east with that 35 mile per hour movement. Put a little bit of a loop on that. There goes the storm. So there's Clinton, there's DeWitt County, northern portions of Macon County. Currently, that warning not being extended, so just barely below severe limits, but hey, they've got quarter-size hail that Jacob reported there, and then those very gusty winds as well. So we're watching that storm there, and now just kind of keeping a close eye on this guy, just making sure he doesn't get out of hand. So that's going to eventually be coming there between Pawnee and Kincaid, north of Pawnee and Kincaid. You can see the lake there. And other little cells that are trying to develop. There's one south of Taylorville.
That one's got a little bit of a hook on it, too.
A little hook there.
Yeah.
So we'll see what all of these little guys start to do as they move into this atmosphere. I'm just kind of looking around some other areas. Looks like north of Rantoul, Ludlow, you guys have got some good rain right now. Just north of 136, some of that heaviest. And there's Vermilion County, not much going on there. Iroquois County, east of Wellington, a little bit of rain. But obviously the biggest storm heading into Macon and DeWitt County right now. So Clinton before too long, gusty winds, heavy rainfall, and a lot of lightning. And then we'll just continue to watch our storm down here into Sangamon County. So again, it is approaching 4:30 p.m. 4:30 p.m. And we have been talking to you about the severe weather. Carrie just said it's crazy in Chatham right now. I wonder.
It's going to be that heavy rain in Chatham.
Yeah, I'm sure it was that heavy rain that just kind of rolled
Strong
through.
winds.
Be curious if she saw anything, Carrie had saw anything down there. But the area that we'd be watching right now would be right in here. I mean, right there along I-55. If there was any kind of a lowering or rotation. I mean, there are a few pixels there. And here's what I'll do is I will pull that up. And you're going to see here in just a moment some reds and greens kind of showing up. So we're going to be doing the newscast here at 5 o'clock here. We'll see if any other additional warnings get issued or not. But those are the two areas that we're watching right now. Here's again, it's kind of the wide view, the big wide view of things. And yeah, I will say this, we'll just have to see if these storms can do anything as they get into kind of this area here that essentially has not really been tapped into from a storm environment goes, as far as storm environment goes. So there's some energy that these storms can feed off of, still located here. So we'll have to watch that and just kind of watch all of these little guys. They start to develop and move into locations that maybe have not seen any rain or anything as of yet. Nothing more from the Weather Service. Seeing if we have any more pictures or video from anyone or anybody in the chat saying anything. I'm not seeing anything at any location. So as the storms continue to move off here to the east, we're going to be out of the warned area. They're going to let that expire, it looks like. And they've not done anything with our storm that is located in Sangamon County yet. So, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Just kind of watch that little hook, little kidney bean.
There's a lot of lightning with it. These things are putting down just a lot of rain as well.
There's a lot of lightning on that storm for it being just kind of
for as small as it is
by itself. So that tells us it is a fairly strong storm. So we're just going to have to kind of watch it here. And so what we'll do is, I know we've got still some of you on here watching the live stream with really no other warnings in effect right now. We're just going to kind of pause things here for a second with our microphones, and we'll let the stream keep going. But I got a feeling that there might be some additional warnings that could get issued, and we'll jump back on when that is the case. But we'll let you just kind of watch our storms here. What we'll do is I'll kind of keep a semi-wider view, and we'll put a little bit of a loop on this, and we'll just continue to watch it with you and let you know if any other warnings get issued. So hang tight here, and if you don't see us jump back on here, we will, of course, be on the news coming up at 5 o'clock. So stay tuned.